lesson as we walk through the addiction cycle. The first week we looked at triggers, and we looked at emotional triggers, internal and external. Then last week we looked at cravings and found out that cravings are natural, that we're going to have them. But what we have to do is learn how to overcome them and not give in to them. This week we're going to talk about rituals or behavior patterns. We all have a ritual. We fall off the same way all the time. We have a natural pattern that we go through. And we're going to look at that today. So if you look at the screen or look at your paper, and we're going to first look at how do those patterns form. How do the addiction cycle form? It says, recovery from addictions and compulsive behaviors are generally successful only when you are completely ready to accept the need to do whatever it takes. And that's what this thing is about. That if I am going to get clean, I have to make a decision to do whatever it takes to stay clean. And that's what we mess up at, because we have what they call conditional recovery. I will get clean if. I will do what it takes if. And so we put conditions on the treatment center or on our family or whoever it is. And if my wife or girlfriend support me, I'll stay clean. Or if I'm going to get my job back, I'll stay clean. And so you got to say that I am not going to use no matter what. No matter what. A lot of people can help you and be an aid in your recovery, but you can't stay clean for them. You see what I'm saying? Because it's too much. And plus, people not going to act right anyway. You see what I'm saying? And so, if I do it on a conditional basis, then I mess up. Because life don't work that way. It's not going to go. And so, or we'll say, it's too much. The people are asking too much of me. It's too much for me to do 90 meetings in 90 days. It's too much for me to call my sponsor. It's too much for me to work the steps. Or, lastly, I will start to look good and feel good, and then I don't need to work the program no more. You see what I'm saying? Because my conditions was I was going to only do this until I get my wife back, until I get the job. Then once I get everything I want, then I'm through. And we don't understand that this is a one day at a time for the rest of our life process. Recovery is fluid, which means that I am either moving forward in my recovery or I am going back in my recovery. It's not stationary. Y'all get the point? And so we think that once I start to do good and once I start to look good, then I'm all right. The issue is I don't stay at that point. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Addictive behaviors run generally in a repeating cycle. And here's the cycle that it goes in. The first thing is I get frustrated. Then I start to fantasize. Then I start obsessing. Then I act out. Now, once I've acted out, I start feeling guilty. And I start making promises to stop. Then the pain returns. Frustration. Life is frustrating. And recovery is frustrating. You know, because we have this thing that's in our brain that says, I want what I want when I want it right now. And I want everybody to do what I say, when I say, how I say. And guess what? People don't do that, do they? Nope. And so we get frustrated either with people or ourselves because life don't happen the way we want it, or it doesn't happen as quickly as we want it. It's amazing. I asked the group last week, How much money do they think they're going to make when they first leave the center? There was nobody in the program that was going to make less than $60,000. Right off the bat. No education, felonies, ain't had a job in 2 years. They're going to walk right out of here and make $60,000. Everybody. That was the lowest. I was like, wow, I've been doing something wrong. So they're going to be frustrated, y'all, because reality going to come and slap them right in the face, and they ain't going to make no not everybody. So that's the next one. That's called fantasizing, right?
Right.
That's a fantasy. And so they're going to be frustrated because the book says, in the big book talks about we're supposed to reject fantasizing. Then the next one, y'all, we start obsessing. Addicts will get locked and loaded on whatever point it is, and we just get obsessed. It just has to happen, and it has to happen now, and we can't let stuff go. Next, we talk about the bottom. The bottom is as low as you are willing to dig. I love that. Bottom is as low as you are willing to dig. You hear all the time when people come in the program, they say, I've hit bottom, right?
Right.
Bottom is not a destination. Bottom is not a situation. Let me tell you what bottom is. Bottom is when I become willing to do anything that it takes to lift this merciless obsession from me. That's bottom. Bottom is not, oh, I lost my car, I lost my job, my woman gonna leave me. That's not bottom. Bottom is one day at a time when I am willing to do. You can tell when somebody has hit bottom. They don't put up no fight. They're easily led. When they say I've hit bottom and you say, okay, do this, I ain't doing that, that's a sign that that person ain't hit bottom. Because we cease fighting everybody and everything. We just want to live. You know, when somebody's dying, in step 1 it says I have to be as willing as the dying can be. Dying people are not that willing. I mean, they are willing. You know that? Because think about it. When someone gets cancer and they go and the doctor tell them, you got to take 20 treatments of radiation and you got to take 15 treatments of chemo. They do that. You know why? They want to live. They want to live. And so, but we come in here in recovery and we say, complete this 6 months program. When you leave, do 90 meetings in 90 days. Get you a sponsor. Work the steps. And you know what we say? I ain't gonna do all that. Why? Because we ain't hit bottom. When we hit bottom, we'll do all of that. That's why it took me 5 times to get this. The first 4 times I wasn't ready. And that last time, I done all of that and more. And didn't nobody have to beg me to do it. I was willing. And so that's how you know if your loved one is ready. Because they'll stop complaining. They will just do it. And it don't even matter. You know, it's amazing. This program becomes the best program in the world when we dismiss your loved one and they're trying to get back in here. I can't get clean nowhere else but here. But last week, we wasn't nothing. But when they're trying to get back in, you know, it's kind of like when you're in a relationship and you love and that person, y'all break up, that person become wonderful. Oh, I love you. I'm sorry. If you come back, I promise. Some of us have heard that story before, right? Or we done said it to somebody.
Right.
You know you ain't gonna do that. You know, we open doors, us men, send flowers, we do all that stuff. We're trying to get you back.
Amen.
We get you back, we won't do none of that. It's the same way it is in recovery, because we don't value it. Sobriety is a gift from God, and you gotta nurture it, and you gotta value it. And once you hit bottom, you'll do whatever it takes. I promise you. It gets better. Breaking the addiction cycle. We almost through. This is going to be a short one. To be successful in the decision to stop the addictive behavior, you need to develop a workable plan. We believe that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So you got to have a plan. It said the plan needs to attack the cycle of addiction, which means changing your lifestyle at many levels. They said that recovery is an active change in my ideas and my attitudes, right?
Right.
It's an active change, so it's an ongoing thing. And so I got to look at changing the way I think. That's the mental part. Look at my emotions, physical, social, and spiritual. I got to change at a fundamental level. Everything about me, they said everything about my life is up for revision. Everything. Everything is up for revision. That don't mean I got to change everything. Like I tell people, no one is saying you got to leave your mate. Your mother gonna still be your mother. Your children gonna still be your children. Your relationship with them is probably gonna have to change. The dynamics of it has to change. You see what I'm saying? And it's not that they gonna change. You gotta change. Because typically, family members don't change. Why? Because they don't think they need to. They ain't the one in the program. And it's hard to see the flaws in them and not be able to say nothing about it. It's not that they don't need to change. They just probably ain't going to change. Y'all with me?
Yes, sir.
And so, and nothing else changes. We the one got to change. And we think it's unfair that we got to change and the family member don't have to change. But what I found out that eventually they do change. They just don't change as quickly as we do. Why? Because they ain't the one with the problem, at least not that problem. You see what I'm saying? Our problem is so much more severe. And so it says in the big book, in the family afterwards, we can't go home expecting our family to change or trying to bring our newfound spirituality and program to them. That's where brothers make mistakes. Y'all try to transport the ON program into your home, and them people say, I ain't in the program, so I ain't gonna do all of that. And we get mad because we want all of these newfound principles, and we go home and try to teach them. And it's not that they don't need some information, they just typically ain't gonna take it from you.
Amen.
So don't go home with all this stuff. Bussy said, probably ain't gonna work well for you. Because they're not in the program. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
And so we gotta look at changing. We gotta look at changing. One of the issues we talked about the most on this list this week was the social part. Because we are socially unmanageable. And we struggle in social situations. Why? Because we used drugs and alcohol to fit in. It lowered our inhibitions, and we became the person that we always wanted to be before our addiction got real bad. Some of us are shy and socially awkward, but we get some of that brown liquor in us, then we can talk and we can do the things we need to do because our confidence level is low. And so it takes us a minute to learn how to interact socially. That's one of the things that take us out the most, is because without using, I don't know who I am, and I don't know how to relate to people, and I don't know how to relate in situations. That's why I use. And so socially, we're awkward. Very few of us are the life of the party, and we don't, without drinking. We end up standing in the corner. When my kids were small, I found out that I could not dance, that I did not have rhythm. But I promise y'all, when I was drinking, I had rhythm. I could dance, or I was so under the influence, I thought I was dancing well, and maybe I was not all along. Now, I don't know which one of them is true. I don't know if I danced real good when I was drunk, or people were laughing at me the whole time, sister, because I wasn't on step. But I thought I was. But when I got clean, I had no rhythm. And that bothered me. I can't do one line dance. You know all them line dances people do? Boy, I knock y'all down. To the left, I'm going right, and I just can't do it. But I used to could do it, I think. Maybe I was high and y'all was that way and I was this way and didn't care. Can y'all do the line dances?
Yes, sir.
Can you? And they're instructional too. They tell you what to do and I still can't get it right. And I done tried, don't try to teach me. I've been trying for 24 years and I ain't got one of them right. But I probably never did. Socially. But now, I don't even care. I just get out there and mess up and laugh at myself. And, you know, I was at a party with church people a few weeks ago. And after a while, they just told me, Buster, you just stand over there. You do yours over there. I was in the middle. I wanted to hide in a group of about 40 people so you couldn't see me, but I was messing it up. So they put me on the side over there. You know, in the slow group. And I didn't even care. I just went on and kept on doing it. Because socially I've learned how to function and learn how that, but I am still awkward. In your family, say this one other thing. Typically, y'all, you don't get the person back that you dropped off. Y'all hear what I just said? And so they've been high, and so now that they're clean, their personality is probably going to be a little different. And so you may be used to them being the life of the party, and now they come home, they're couch potato, don't want to talk, and socially awkward, and you like, it is really bad on relationships, because you be like, this is not the person I fell in love with. Why you don't talk to me? Well, I had to have some look in me to talk. Now I don't talk. That's a big deal for people in recovery because we got to learn to get to know us ourselves again. Because alcohol made us different. Drugs made us different. That makes sense?
Yes, sir.
You know, we could talk to you all day. It's funny, I watch couples, they go sit outside and they sit out there for a while and normally it's silence. Because the person don't know what to say. And they used to talk a lot. Addictions are developed by a repetitive cycle of using that is initiated by some kind of emotional trigger. And so we stay in that cycle, and that cycle just repeats itself. That's what we talked about. We have those internal triggers and external triggers. And so, and you have to learn, first the addict themselves have to learn what their emotional triggers are. Today we looked at being a perfectionist and how we handle failure when we can't get things right. And I asked them this morning, do you struggle more at not meeting the expectations of your family or not meeting the expectations of yourself? And you know what most of the people said? That their biggest struggle is they don't meet y'all expectations. And so whatever the standard is that y'all have for them, that they don't meet, that makes them feel bad. Because perfectionists have to be right, or they have to achieve the mark to feel good about themselves. And so y'all expectations of them to stay clean, to do what they're supposed to do, is overwhelming to them. And most of the things that y'all are asking them to do are basic. Come home with your paycheck. Do what you say you're going to do. Right?
Right.
Grown people ought to do that, right? They stressed out about that. And that takes us out because we're perfectionists, because we can't get it right. And it takes us out, right? Ain't that what y'all said this morning? So what y'all need to do is tell y'all family members that came to see y'all today, what are those expectations that they have of you that's overwhelming to you? And normally they are normal, but they are overwhelming. Because we have never been able to achieve the standards that we have for ourselves or the standards that y'all have for us. And we don't know the difference between failing at that and being a failure. See, most people, when they fail at something, they just fail. When we fail, we are failures. Y'all see the difference between that? We are defined by that. And we don't know how to let that go. And so we just quit. And if we think we can't meet that expectation, we don't even try. Y'all probably have heard that before. I ain't gonna be able to get it right no way, so ain't no need of me even doing it. So I ain't gonna even try. Because it ain't gonna work no way. Ain't that what y'all heard that before, have you family member? So why am I gonna put all this effort? Because it's easier for me to fail if I don't try. In my mind. So now I don't feel that bad. But if I put my all into it and fail, I'm devastated. That's why we don't try hard in this thing called recovery. Because, and that's part of the cycle as well. That's why it says half measures avail us nothing. But I'm scared to try real hard because if I try and fail, then I have no hope. So y'all have to help me to help y'all family to put their all into this process. Because we are afraid. Because we've conditioned ourselves to not try. You know? It's kind of like, I was reading in this book and it talked about how they train elephants. They tie these chains around these elephants' leg and dig a stake and put it in the ground. And so when they're little, they know what the parameters are and they get there and they stop. After a while, they can take the chain off and take the stake up and the elephant won't go any further than they've been conditioned to go. And as a part of this cycle, that's why your loved one stays clean about the same length of time every time, because they are afraid to go through that. They've been conditioned to fall off. And they are afraid to break that cycle. Most of us have a 2-month cycle, a 3-month cycle. Some people do real good, they get a year clean and they fall off. And it's easy to discover what your cycle is. We all got a relapse cycle. Mine used to be a couple of months. I stay clean for a couple of months and I fall off. And I stay clean a couple of months and I fall off. I could never break that cycle. And nothing had to happen. I would just self-destruct. Because once I got through that, I got scared of going into the unknown. That makes sense? And so, that's how they are. We're like those elephants. And we just can't go any further. Then triggers. Triggers, these can be situations, emotions, thoughts, seeing a particular person, place, or image. We talked about that the second week as we walked through this series. And we all got triggers. And it's people, places, things, situations. But y'all know them most of the time, family members, but don't let them get away with saying people. No, it's not people. It's certain people that are triggers to me. It's not places. It's certain places are triggers to me. And we have to define what those places are and what those things are and not go around them. As I say all the time, the hard part is when y'all are in relationship with us and our triggers are in conflict with you. You see what I'm saying? And I think I said this the first week. family members, you can be a trigger. It don't mean you're doing anything wrong. You could be an emotional trigger to us just based on the dynamics of our relationship and how it's been going. You see what I'm saying? So when you put pressure on us and tell us to do things, that's a trigger. Can be. And so you don't have to use, but the hard part is when we have drink together or use together. And now when you go to Uncle Julio's, you've always had your margarita. But now we going, do you have your margarita knowing that that's a trigger for your loved one? Or do you drink tea? And for most people, enchiladas don't taste well without a margarita. That's what she said last week. She's like, shoot, I ain't want no enchilada if I can't have no margarita. So that means, Pop, you can't go to Uncle Julio with us. And so that's the difficult part, because y'all have to make adjustments too. Maybe. So, let me ask y'all this. That if you're in a relationship with somebody that you've been drinking with and using with, they functional though. They smoke a little weed, drink a little beer regularly. Should you go back into that house? Oh. So y'all are saying I'm supposed to quit my woman and not go to my house because she's drinking and smoking weed. I don't believe y'all. I don't believe y'all. So I'm supposed to not go back to my wife. No. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You believe that? I don't know. I don't believe that. Because I've never seen it happen. We go back. And I'm not saying whether you should or not. Okay. What if you're the mother, or you're the sister, or you're the auntie, or whoever? Do you not drink around us? Do you not have your drink because we with you? Mama said you shouldn't. Really? Okay. So you're not gonna have your beer when your loved one come home. Wow. Y'all some loving people. Or just don't invite them. I had a family a few months ago, and the guy was mad because they had came through been sending these family meetings, and so they was having a get together. I think it was maybe at Christmas or something, and they said, you know what? You can either come over the day before or the day after. Because Bussy said that we shouldn't be drinking around you, but we had a meeting, and we did not think it was fair for us to not have Christmas the way we've been having Christmas all our lives. So you can't come, but you can come, and we'll have dinner for you before or after. But it's about to go down on Christmas. You know, the uncles and the aunties and the people got together, and they were like, sure, we're not going to not drink and watch the Cowboy game on we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. But you can't come. Because we're not going to be the reason that you fell off. What y'all think about that?
That was lovely.
That was lovely? But now this brother couldn't go home for Christmas.
So the day before or the day after?
This stuff is always real easy when it's not practical application. You see that? You know, when it's a scenario, it's a real easy. Oh, okay, yeah. On C. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, the family knows that their family member is in sobriety and he's getting clean
Right.
for himself. And they're having this party. Okay, so maybe, in my perspective, the family should have made a day for him.
They did. Before or after? But they wasn't going to not do what they had been doing in their family for 30 years just because he's trying to get clean. So you saying that daddy shouldn't been able to have a beard with his dressing and do what he been doing in his house for years?
No, sir. I believe that when you grow in your recovery and you're serious to maintain it, you can be around whatever.
Whatever?
I mean, not whatever. I mean, I put yourself in danger. You know
All right,
that.
you just left treatment.
Yes.
And you think you can go around that and you just left treatment.
No.
He was new. Now the big book do say if my intentions are correct, I can go wherever. But but check this out. It's about me getting honest about my intentions.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I can't be the one that makes that decision all by myself because I'm not a very good judge of my intentions.
Yes.
So that's when I get with my sponsor and have a conversation
Yes.
about why am I really going over there
Yes.
and what's my intention,
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And so, but I think in early in recovery, we don't need to put ourselves in bad situations.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
It ain't worth it. But my point is, we can't expect everybody to adjust and stop doing what they're doing because of us. That's an unrealistic expectation.
Yes, sir.
You see what I'm saying? And we get ourselves in trouble. It's not that people don't love you. It's just I'm not going to change my whole life because of you. Sometimes we get people that do that and sometimes we don't. But don't set yourself up. That's my point.
Yeah.
Rituals. The craving is typically surrounded by rituals that may involve trying to manage the situation or obtain the drugs. They are the routines that get established around the using behavior and add to the obsessive thinking. And we have ritual, we fall off the same way. That's why y'all know where to find us when we get high. It's amazing. I always get family members, they'll call me in the middle of the night. They say, oh, John didn't come back. So, okay. She said, I know where he at, though. I said, did you call him? You talk to him? No. He just go to the same place every time. He right over there in South Dallas, right over there on this street at this house. You sure? Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I know where he at. Because we have rituals. That's how y'all know when our behavior is off and y'all start to say something ain't right. Because we have a pattern and we have a ritual. And it goes in that cycle every time. But like we said the first week, we have to stop it. If you look at your paper, it has emotional triggers and then it has the cravings. The safest spot to go to battle is at the red one. Because normally once we get into the craving part, it's probably too late. But when we get into the ritual, it's hard to stop. That's how y'all bust us as family members when y'all come in the house. And we done already started getting our works together. We can't stop. We see you coming, but I gotta get this hit first. How many of y'all have done that? You seen your family coming, but you was in the middle of that ritual, and you know, Mom, I see you coming, but but I can't stop in the middle. I gotta continue. We don't care if it's the police coming, family member coming, we gonna get that hit first. Right?
Right.
That's what say, oh yeah, ain't no stopping. I don't care who you are. Because once I have started, I got to finish. That's why, y'all, we can't wait till we get into the ritual. We have to let the people around us know what our ritual is. And it's generally the same, but we have different ways individually sometimes. Mine is, first I started to get a little irritable, self-righteous, my pattern of behavior, I'm normally a point A to point B kind of person. And now I done started riding aimlessly. You know, I'm going and seeing John, them, and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm in the ritual. But sometimes people can trigger you. I had a friend of mine to get out of jail, guess that was last year or something. And they called me and said, oh, 2 or 3 of my partners called me and they said, man, Mark out of jail. And I said, I'm coming down there tomorrow. And I caught myself. My behavior, typically my wife would say, you know, you want me to go? She said, you want me to go? No, I don't need you to go with me. I'm in my cycle. You know, like, no, what you want to go with me for? You know, I'm going to go do some things. And I went in there and started getting my clothes together, and I caught myself. And I ended up, I didn't go because my whole attitude and behavior had changed. Because these are friends that I had grown up with, and we got high together. And just knowing he was out of jail triggered me. But in my mind, I wasn't going to get high. I was just going to go down there and let them see how good I was doing. I won't do nothing. Y'all know that I work at a church. I won't do nothing. But I was triggered just by talking to him on the phone. And I was in my cycle, and that was last year, so I had 23 years clean. And my attitude with my wife had changed because she go with me all the time, but she couldn't go that time. Y'all think that mean I was about to do something that I didn't have no business?
Yeah. Sometimes.
No. You think that? Boys, haters in here. But y'all are right. But guess what? I caught myself. I had been triggered. You can be in the craving stage. See, this disease is cunning, almost through baffling and powerful. So guess what? The disease rarely comes and tells the truth. Because Satan is the father of lies. It don't say, go get high, lose everything you have, and be homeless. It don't say that. It says, go down there, wash your car, get your gear together, don't take your wife, and just let them see. It lied to me. And thank God, I caught myself, and she started tripping. I guess she seen it and said, nah, something ain't right. Something ain't right. And she ain't never seen me high. But she done came to one of these meetings too many and heard me tell the truth about myself and said, you know, something wrong, brother. You might need to call somebody. I'm like, whoa, I don't need to do that. Now let her know. I've been clean these minutes. That's what we do. We get defensive. And that's what I done. But I didn't go. Thank God. What's my point? My point is you don't have to use. You can be stopped. And family members, you got to go boldly to us sometimes and not be afraid of us. Because what I say last week, when you confront us, our first reaction is always, we get mad. Always. Secondly, we get on the pity pot and start saying, you don't trust me, you don't love me, you don't want me. Then you stand firm to that. And then after that, we normally get in line. But first, I'm going off. Where are you going? Don't be asking me about where I'm going. I'm a grown man. That's first. Then if you stand through that, then I'll say, you don't even trust me, and I ain't nobody, and life ain't no good. And you like, I don't care what you say, and nobody feels sorry for you. But what I do know is you're not going. And then I got right, we went on, and he back in the pen, and all that. True story. True story. True story. Using, ultimately, the addict will use again. Once we get into that cycle, typically we use again. Then the guilt and the shame comes. And because we've used, and the cycle repeats itself. That makes sense?
Yes.
But we don't have to use. That's the promise of the NA program. The program promises us the freedom from active addiction. We don't have to use. But there's only one way not to use. You got to apply these principles of the program. I just believe that. I believe that. I believe that if you work the program, you can make it. If you don't work the program, you've already entered the cycle because you made the decision that you weren't going to do nothing. And I think, as I was saying earlier, what I wanted was this. I wanted my relapses in the future to be somebody else's fault other than mine. You know, that I was not going to mess my life up again because I had not tried the program. I was going to blame that man that just got up and walked out, and Lonnie Boynette and Thomas Taylor, those people in my life, and I just said, I didn't believe the program would work, and I didn't believe I could stay clean because I had fallen off so many times. But I said, it's not going to be my fault this time. I'm going to do everything y'all tell me to do, and then if it don't work, it's your fault that I don't stay clean. I know that sounds crazy, but I've been doing what them people say all of this time, and my life has gotten better. But I still don't think they're right all the time. And they have given me some bad information a whole bunch of times. They have. Don't you think, family members, that we don't give our bad advice around here sometimes? We do. We have very bad information. But we don't tell your family member to go get high. Some of the stuff we tell them to do probably don't make no sense. Go run the hill. Well, we can't tie that to staying clean. They told me this, and I'm through. They said, that man over there, said, you are arrogant. And what we're going to do is, you need to let us hold your car for 90 days, and you need to walk and catch the bus so that you can get some humility. They were wrong. I can't prove it because I've been clean ever since, but I don't believe that they were right. I just can't prove it because I say clean. This is what I really think. I had the prettiest car out of everybody, and I think they were hating. But I can't prove it because I've done what they said, and I stay clean. I want your loved one to be like me. Say, you know what? I don't think Bussy was right, but I can't prove it because I've done what he said, and I stay clean. You see what I'm saying? And because a lot of the things that they say in treatment don't make sense. I'm going to give y'all a riddle. Going to meetings won't keep you clean, but not going will get you high. That's a riddle. Going to meetings won't keep you clean, but not going will get you high. That's what they told me when I first got here. Can anybody answer that? Going to meetings won't keep you clean,